Well, hello everyone, and welcome back to the PGSMP once again. And today, as I said in the last episode from over here, we will be discussing what you need to do in order to, well, make a chorus fruit farm. And that's actually a fairly simple thing. You're going to need to collect two different items. One is you're going to need some endstone, and the other is chorus flowers from the end. And you can build this here in the overworld, you can do it in the nether. It really doesn't matter where you build it. There's just two criteria you really need to keep in mind when making a farm. The first is you have to plant the chorus flowers on top of endstone in order for them to grow. And the second is you need to make sure that when you're doing this, the chorus fruit is above whatever ground level you have, or the chorus flower is above whatever ground level you have. You cannot, for example, dig 2 blocks down and then place the chorus flower down at that level. So that's something you'll need to keep in mind. This will grow on its own, and it should sprout more chorus flowers as it goes. So if you do want to expand this farm, that is certainly something that you can do. But what we're really looking to accomplish here is kind of some optimal spacing. Now, chorus fruit grows in very, very wacky ways, so I would recommend spacing them out a couple of blocks away from each other. And you just heard that made a noise as it grew up, which is very unique to plants that are capable of growing. So not sure how I feel about there being a noise that takes place, but let's go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 blocks in between, and then this would, guess would technically be the 8th block, and we'll go ahead and place another one of these down here, and then we can do the same thing here, going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 being the location for this other block. And as you can hear, they're actually growing rather quickly, even just kind of while I'm sitting here. They grow quite well. And our kelp farm looks like it's just harvested as well. So not too shabby, all that's going around here. And as you can see, this is now diverting over to different directions in terms of how it's growing, which I don't fully understand why that's the way that it is, but it makes sense based off of the fact that it is something that you see in their natural habitat where they crimp over and grow in some opposite directions. Now, you could automate the harvesting of this farm a little bit, or that's an option of something that you could do. But something else I learned while doing a little bit of research in terms of how these flowers can actually be harvested. So if we run up and grab a couple of items here while we kind of let things continue to grow down there, I should be able to demonstrate that fairly easily. Wow, look at that chorus fruit grow. It's doing very, very well, actually, as it grows up and creating more and more of these flowers. So if you do want to harvest these chorus flowers, of course, the obvious choice is harvesting the flower itself. The axe is the best tool to use when trying to harvest a chorus flower, but an alternate option is you can actually shoot it with an arrow in order to break it. And as you can see up there, it didn't quite fall down to the point where we can grab it, but if we do a little bit of a flyby, we should be able to collect that flower. There we are. And now, unfortunately, it'll no longer grow off of that direction, but it did give us another flower that we can use, and it will continue to grow. These can grow up to 22 blocks in height, if I remember correctly. And the trouble with these is you don't really have a way of making sure that you can set up an automatic harvest, at least not conventionally. They do grow relatively fast though, so you shouldn't be too concerned about whether or not you're going to be able to harvest these. As you can basically, anytime you walk back through them, you can hack them down or take your shots and take out some of these flowers before hacking down the plants. So if you did want to set up some sort of automatic harvesting system for these plants, potentially the best thing that you could do is set up a flying machine to come through and collect those wares. Now, I'm pretty sure that if I were to knock down this plant, for example, it's not going to continue to grow, but let's just kind of let it sit there for a little bit, and then we can get a little bit more of an answer as to whether or not it will. Though I don't believe that to be the case, as they do grow off of the flower specifically rather than these stems. But at the very least, you can get yourself some chorus fruit from that. And chorus fruit, of course, has the benefit of teleporting you around when consumed, but it also has the ability to be cooked up into popped chorus fruit and combined with blaze rods in order to make end rods as well, which is a very interesting recipe, at least in my opinion, but it is a building material that some people really like to use, and it has some interesting applications to be sure. And yeah, this is not growing or changing at all, so you will have to make sure that you collect up any of the actual flowers that you'll want in order to grow things up. Now, what I believe to be the case is as long as these flowers are in the flowering state, as you see here, they have the potential to continue to grow. But if they are ever closed or capped off like this, that indicates that the fruit itself will no longer grow off of those branches. At least that's what I understand from what I'm looking at here, as this section has continued to grow and extend upwards, and there has not been any movement out of these flowers that have closed off. So the question that remains to be answered, we can do fairly easily. If we take a shot at this flower, does that break off and give us a flower? It indeed does. So anytime you see that you have these fruits that are closed down, you can go ahead and pop them off, and that will then be able to be recycled before you come through and automatically harvest things through. So yeah, a flying machine would be the easiest way to knock things down and collect those up once they have fully grown. Of course, once you've collected the flowers. Now, you can use arrows. You can also use snowballs in Java Edition, which is where I'm playing. You can also use tridents to pop them down. So there is a variety of options for collecting these, and then as we discussed in the beginning, you also have the option of just walking up and knocking it down by hand with an axe as well. So there's a variety of harvest methods that you can employ. So in its most basic form, that's what you should expect to see out of a chorus fruit farm. And for my purposes, this is going to be all I need. Yeah, I can explore some options for automating the farm a little bit more, and if you do have some interest in seeing that, let me know, as I'd be more than happy to come up with some more designs or thoughts for how that can be done efficiently, especially in the terms of automatically collecting things as well. But of course, that's a subject that we can do in a follow-up video, and I should have some other updates regarding the state of the PGSMP going forward in my next Minecraft video. So make sure that you're subscribed so you stay up to date with any of those updates that come along the way. So thanks again for letting me take some of your time, and leave a like on today's video if you enjoyed it. Until then, thanks again for watching, and I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day. Bye-bye.